Welcome to another episode of Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rachelle Etienne-Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. Peace. Welcome, everyone, to Artistry, where art meets industry. I am your host, Rachelle Etienne-Robinson, along with my hubby over here, Stan Substantial Robinson. Peace. Today, we are so excited to welcome to the show a friend, a fellow Pratt alum. He is a 9-time Emmy Award winning creative. He is the frontman from the band Permanent Ability, as well as an international music producer. Please welcome our great friend, Brian Lanese. Brian, thank you for being here.
Hey guys, how are you? Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh no,
you guys
pleasure.
are great.
Thank you.
Likewise. Likewise.
We try to work out.
I understand.
During COVID, hey, you got to all the things that you said that you can't do or didn't have the time to do. There's no more excuses. So we're trying to do our best.
Right. Absolutely.
Welcome, man. How are you doing? How's everything?
Good. We're all safe. We're all healthy. That's all that counts. So, just surviving with a couple of children, and I'm here with all girls. So, the grace keep coming. But
we know the struggle.
Yes.
But yeah, no, they're good. They're doing fine. Everybody's good. So I'm glad.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're very much looking forward to talking to you about your creative journey. For those that don't know, Brian and Stan and I, we all attended Pratt. We were in the school at the same time, Pratt Institute in Brooklyn.
Yes, indeed.
And so, it's been, we were just talking, thankfully through social media, you're able to, keep up with folks and see what they're doing, but you don't really know the journey. And so today we want to learn more about your journey and what you've been doing for the last couple of years. You just graduated.
Yes.
I like how you threw that in there. I like that.
So, being from the East Coast, talk to us about how was art first introduced to you?
Wow. I mean, that's it's crazy. I feel like I just stepped out of the womb creative, I guess, from just, from my parents telling me, but, I was able to draw at a young age and things like that. And I just kept pursuing it. And, I mean, I was mentioning earlier, I didn't really like school growing up at all, and, I see it with my daughter too. Like she's kind of, how I am, and I really liked it once I got into college, where it was just specifically art only. And, it's not that I didn't enjoy, you have to know your fundamentals and things like that is very important, obviously. But it's just, I really wanted more of the creative side of it. And, that I was always drawing teachers in class and my notebooks and getting into trouble with little funny drawings and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was just a God-given gift that just was instilled, and you guys know. And luckily we had people in our lives to push us and to pursue us and say, hey, this is where you need to go to pursue, or to this city, or try that, or to kind of give us some guidance. So but even with my career, I just kind of fell into the whole motion graphics side of it, and kind of taught myself and got internships here and the right people here to push me over that way. So it's been a cool journey, looking back on it, over how many years there
right.
But yeah, it's just, you kind of gotta be like Batman in this industry, right? You gotta have everything on your belt.
Yep.
And you never know when you're gonna utilize that skill, and keep your chops fresh, and try to maintain. I've always been focused on if I'm slacking in this area, well, that means I need to push a little more in that area, and just my work ethic has always been maybe a little too much, a little too focused at times, but
Would you say that your experience at Pratt really prepared you for next steps?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, by the time I would say like our sophomore year came, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be an illustrator, and thankfully I didn't. And I went into graphic design and animation and all that stuff. I initially wanted to do like a lot of like what the Mandalorian is doing now, like a lot of compositing and 3D animation stuff, which is I do that now, but not to that level, you know, of compositing. I think that would be a lot of fun for movies and stuff. But yeah, no, I believe it really did, because, you know, it gave me the focus. It showed me what it took to actually prepare myself mentally for the real world and physically, because, you know, it's hours you're putting in. You know, creativity it comes when it comes, and you got to do it. You know, if it's 3 a.m., you're writing it down, doing it, or whatever it is, you know. But I think so. Do you guys feel that way as well? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think for so many reasons, Pratt really, you know, you really make your own experience as well. I mean, granted, all of us remember, you know, critique time when everybody, you know, you're completely vulnerable and you know, you're out there. But it does, you know, being, I guess, also in the city, you know, but making your own experience and really putting yourself out there to go out and drive and find, you know, different opportunities that are out there and learn, you know, and just being around like the people that we came, our class, you know, I'm biased.
So diverse. It was so diverse.
It was
great. It really was.
So good.
And that I agree with you. I agree. You know, I haven't been back there in quite some time, but I've been to Brooklyn. The last time I was in Brooklyn was, you know, well, my first time back was like 2013, 2014. And I couldn't believe where I was. Like it's so beautiful compared to how it was when we were there.
Right.
But I was just like, where are we? Well, we're on Flatbush. Like I couldn't believe it, you know. And it was just a different. It's so crazy how everything has changed. And I haven't been back over the Pratt. I would like to go. You know, that's something I just want to do. You know, maybe show my kids or something like that.
Oh yeah. You know? I mean, the campus. I mean, it's one of the few places in Brooklyn that actually had greenery, right? But I mean, at the same time, when we were there, this is before, you know, gentrification and all the changes. I remember very well when they told us, you see Classen? Yeah, don't go past there.
Yeah, right.
on the tour, the guy told us on the tour, he was like, whatever you do, don't go that way. If that way's cool, don't go that way.
Right. Don't go past Myrtle.
Right.
I remember Chris Rock.
What I did was go that
way. We were poor college kids, right? So Chris Rock lived in like the street over. I don't know if he still lives there, but he used to buy us pizza every now and again. We see him at the little the little pizzeria that was right there on DeKalb. And from time to time he would walk in and, you know, he'd have all these raw jokes that he'd be trying out and, you know, buying us food, and it was cool. And it's weird how you know, you run into certain celebrities even in that area. I remember Rizzo was one time in the White Castle at 3 in the morning. It was weird, and a friend of mine rapped, and he got us free food that night too. I don't know. I was always getting free food after being drunk.
Right, I was about to say, man, you coming up, you know. Yeah,
I was just in the right place at the right time. You know, I don't know about that, but some late night. Ugh.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Brooklyn was great for bumping into folks, man. You could see anyone, any given moment. You know, I remember just kind of walking down Fulton Street and seeing Erykah Badu in passing. Yeah. And then another time just seeing kind of Common posted up out front of some shop or whatever with his team. And
Rosie Perez.
Yeah, Rosie Perez.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing her all the time. Oh, my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah, she used to live in Clinton, right there on Clinton.
Right.
Yeah, trying to remember the actors. Oh, Wood Harris, the actor from The Wire. He played.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy show, man. I love that show.
Dude, the craziest moment that I remember, like, with like rhyming and stuff in Brooklyn was we were out front of the Brooklyn Tea Party. Shout out to Ian Friday and the fam. We were right out front of the Tea Party having a cipher. Bunch of dudes, me, Pac FM, my man Mecca, so many folks. And Wood Harris was walking by, and then he just comes up in the cipher, starts nodding his head, rocking with us. and then just in raps. He just started rhyming. Who knew this
man.
dude?
Right.
We seen him how many films, and who knew he could rhyme? But he was rapping right with us, freestyling and all of that, man. But
there you go, right there. That you never know who's got it. You know, there's multi-talent right there. You don't know how he achieved that. Even
right.
it's maybe he used it for a scene that, or a movie that he didn't get or something. You never know.
Right. Yeah,
it's one of those things you would never know.
Yeah, it's Brooklyn. It's in the water, right?
It definitely is.
They built some of the greatest
I've ever had too, by the way.
Right. But after upon graduating, right, and you developing your style, how describe that process? Like, how would you describe how you, because your style is very distinctive, right? So how did you hone in on, was it a lot of trial and error? What was it for you?
Yeah, it was, inspired. I was inspired by other people. It was a lot of prove them wrong. You can't do that. Oh, okay, watch me now. That's probably the worst thing you can say to me, because now I'm coming after you. I'll show you. I'm gonna flex on you now. That's it. But yeah, I mean, I really got into a more polished style as I got into my later career, as of now. And I've been doing it very precisely, because a lot of times you're putting out fires very quickly. It's like, hey, we need something right away, and this has to get done in 5 minutes. And you either got to have a toolkit set up to where you can just plug and play that, change the colors, and get that thing off, or it's something that you've been working on and saying it's polished, it's ready. Here, let's roll with it. I mean, there's several I guess options that come along with the project at hand. So like, I always like to have some type of concept that's going to go along with project to tell the story, right?
Yeah.
Or I like brand consistency. I want everything across every platform to be flexible for every platform. So when I'm starting something initially, I know that this has to go to A, to B, to C, to D, and it has to all flow. So then whatever user is on, they know that, just by second nature, hey, I'm watching, the 49ers. Hey, I'm watching, the Yankees, whatever it is, So it's really evolved over time. And I feel like I'm still evolving, now being a dad, that's like evolved me, in a different way, that's even hard to explain, other than, you're a parent, so you understand what I mean. But it's just, I don't write songs about, being a sex junkie anymore. And I got stuff I'm sitting on, really, great stuff that is really good, where I'm like, hey, you know what? My daughter might be good for this vocal track at some point. And it's weird. She got a little bit of an itch, and I named her Brooklyn, by the way, from living in Brooklyn. And but she's born in LA, which is kind of funny. but I want everybody to know I was East Coast,
Right.
But she's got yeah. You gotta stay true to stay true to where you are.
Right.
Yeah, but sure.
She got a little bit of the bug in her, as far as there's something there. Like when you're in entertainment, your entire career, you kind of start to recognize talents from other people, or hey, there's something there, you don't know what it is. It's trying to hold it in, and it's been kind of fun trying to do that. And so we're trying different things. She's a really good singer. My wife was a really good singer, but I always said, if we had a kid who had my charisma and my wife's voice, look out.
Watch out.
I always had to work hard for my voice. I had Michael Jackson's vocal coach for a while helping me, and Anthony Kiedis' vocal coach trying to help me out from the Chili Peppers. And it really took a long time to really find. I'm speaking musically now. I was speaking graphically before, but just musically wise, it was really hard to find my style too. Like a lot of us East Coasters, we don't tend to open our mouths a lot to sing. We're more, even when we talk. So like a lot of it had to be adjusted, and and I had to really try to my breathing, get that down, because a lot of my performances were very intense, and I was working out pretty much half the time. So I had to keep up with that along with the, singing. But yeah, I mean, just even with the music side of it to the artistic side of it, back to the evolution of how it all began. It just keeps evolving. I keep trying to learn. I keep trying to have my ear to the ground and keep being open-minded as much as I can. I mean, that's really, I guess, the best way to put it in a nutshell.
Right. And, for folks who don't know, Brian is not, in addition to being a phenomenal visual artist, he's also a performing artist and a music producer. And so later on the show, we're going to definitely delve in and talk more about that. One of the things that I wanted to talk about also is, as a creative director, right? You've worked as a creative director. You've worked with some great, notable brands. Provided, motion graphics, graphic design, animation. What would you say is your medium of choice?
Oh, it's a mix. It really is a mix. I mean, it multimedia. Yeah, it's just such a mix. It really is. Like, a lot of it is very sports heavy, but let's say you take me out of that sports space and you put me into a different space. I'd want to be challenged, along with Google, along with an Amazon or an Apple. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you have a lot of, I'm trying not to get pigeonholed, and I feel like sometimes you do get pigeonholed. He's not going to be challenged coming into this space to design because look how much fun sports is. But you also get to a point to where, well, yeah, this stuff's fun, but like, if you can't recognize how good that stuff is, I'm not sure I want to be a part of that company to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I guess, the hiring manager per se to say, hey, you know what? That's that's some really great stuff there, and this guy could get on board and really, take the brand to the next level, instead of saying, hey, he works in sports kind of thing. I think that's it's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was only pigeonholed for his Commando movies and his Predator movies, and then he kind of ventured out. And I think once you break out of that mold, you can kind of prove them wrong. Say, hey, I was able to do it in this space too the whole time. You just got to give me that opportunity.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's awesome.
I mean, Stan, I don't say I'm a rapper, but I could flow a little bit.
Right.
But like I got that style to bring to it, but like I can't bring the style that you will bring to something that you would hear, or I would even sing a melody differently from than you would sing it. So who is awesome with doing just like real simple? The Wu-Tang Clan had like just the simple, and then you had all those dudes coloring over this simple beat, and I know I'm kind of off on a tangent, but like that stuff like that is just like, that's when you're bringing the flavor to each one. It's like I hear music differently, each body of music, and I'll relate my side of it to it, right? And it's the same thing when I'm going into a creative project or a branding project. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring what I know to it, and usually 9 times out of 10 you're successful. Or you say, hey, you know what? Well, what didn't I get? And you add that extra to it, So it's I hate the word subjective, because it really isn't subjective. It's just it's by taste, I guess, too. But I don't know.
Do you feel like you have to wear, like when you're doing visual arts, you're doing like, you have to put on, okay, this is my visual hats on now. And then when you're doing music, it's a whole different, different attitude, different approach.
Yeah, I guess in a way. I feel like the music tires me out more creatively. Maybe because my biggest weakness, I guess, is like being a perfectionist, and it'll make it just drains you a little quicker. But and plus I that's something where I like to keep my music very universal. I don't like to have I'll talk about people in there. There's no doubt about it, or my experiences, and this, but like, you're gonna keep it universal to whatever that listener's feeling or using that time. With the visual side of it, it's more so your storytelling. You're getting that you're capturing that feel of the Nets, you're capturing that feel of the Yankees or that particular team, or brand per se. I recently did a commercial for a friend of mine, and he owns his own business down in Florida, and it needed some motion tracking and some graphics and logos and a complete brand overhaul pretty much. And that was a lot of fun because I was like, hey, I get to go into he puts together like he'll soup up like sick Lamborghinis and Mustangs and buy all these parts and put them in and just make these custom cars down in Florida. And I don't know nothing about that.
Right.
But, I went into it as I researched it, and I was like, this could be really cool. And then it's something different that's not in my normal space, and I just kind of took it by the helm and gave them an awesome brand to start with, Yes. And so I mean, like I said, I guess it goes back to being kind of like Batman, where you got to have everything under your belt and try different creative things and don't be afraid to fail. That's the I don't mean to quote myself on this, but I wrote a lyric, which is one of my favorite songs. It's called "Stand Up for What You Believe In," and in that song it says, "Criticism is growth. Embrace its luck." And when I was a young man, I didn't understand that. I would get upset about it, like, well, you're criticizing me. Okay, I'll show you, kind of thing. But like, I think that's one of the best things that's ever been, told to me that I've kept and then kind of put together as another one I have is, death can't be beat, so kill it life. And I think that's another great, lyric.
Right.
So, but that's one of my favorite songs, and just to give you kind of like an evolution of where I started at, like, sex junkie at 23 to becoming a more of a poetic lyricist in that manner. But
right.
The evolution happened, the maturity happened.
Yeah.
But hey, I got a fun tidbit. When my grandfather passed away, I found out that I'm related to Mark Twain, so Sam Clemens, and it's kind of weird how my grandfather was an engineer for Timex, and he worked on a lot of cool stuff, and this could be where a lot of my work ethic came from and a lot of my creative side came from, and that type of focus. And if he was alive today, we probably still have like a lot in common just as an adult. But he when we found that out, it was just kind of funny how that progression of me going into this creative side of things and then being a lyricist in a band, trying to create the best bodies of work that I can, even lyrically, because I write a lot of the music as well.
Right.
It's just funny how it kind of came down as this particular descendant would have. I guess it's pretty cool. I'm looking back at it now.
It's in the DNA. It's in the DNA.
Yeah, right. I guess so.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back real quick to something you said where you were talking about like the importance of criticism, and I wanted to kind of give Pratt a little shout out because there's a lot of different things that I think we all took away from that experience at Pratt. But one of the things that was a major takeaway for me, not just as an artist and creative, but also even as an educator, was the fact that when we would take time to talk about each other's work, being led, of course, by the instructor, she was, I forget the teacher's name, but one of my teachers was actually teaching us not just the mechanics of how to draw, how to use pastels, all of these different things, but more importantly, she was teaching us how to critique, right? Like how to use certain language to kind of really convey the ideas and how to give each other better feedback, because ultimately we were trying to build stronger artists, right? Help our peers step up, help ourselves step up. So I think we all could probably say that Pratt played a major role in really trying to help us develop that muscle, right? Like being able to talk about work and skin. Yeah, absolutely.
And that, you know, that really gave us too. I feel, you know, it instills a lot of character in you, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I used to be in situations and I'd be like, you know, why is this person attacking me? And after a while, and my dad, you know, smart individual that he is, I guess, even though, you know, he's a person who's never finished high school, if you believe that or not, but he always had that street smarts mentality. He always had that blue collar minded mentality, and then he would bring a lot of things to the table that I wouldn't think. He's like, you know, you're the can that goes down the stairs that doesn't make any noise. I'm the empty can. You know what I mean? Or along those lines. But like, you know, he would always say to me, you don't understand how much character that person is instilling into you. That, you know, that's why they're attacking you. That's why they're coming after you. You know, and I never looked at it that way. I always looked at it as a personal attack. And you know, and as I gotten older, you kind of realize, hey, you know what? Put your head down, get it done. And you know, it's not personal. It's just more of a, you know, they expect more out of you, and you should be, you know, providing. You know, and that comes back to Pratt right there, like you said. You know, I remember having my stuff ripped off the wall, and they're like, this sucks.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, don't just tell me it sucks. I need you to give me a proper criticism for me to be a better artist, to come back and show you that, hey, I don't suck and I can compete with the rest. You know what I mean? It's just, and I, you know, and there were people that would leave the room pissed off. There were people that would leave the room crying, you know, or, you know, on any given situation. But I was just kind of like, man, I don't, even in my current roles that I'm in, I don't like, well, that's not enough production value, or that's not enough. Well, dude, I can't, I need more specifics than that, man. You can't just say that you don't like it. Like you need to give me some specifics of why you don't, so I can make it better for you, or I could get it to where we need it to be, so it is more like it has that likability, you know. So
yeah. But and it's funny because even when people say they like it, right? Like, you know, trying to pull really get the why out, right?
Right.
Even when a client tells you they like it, that doesn't mean you're done. Like, there's a part of you that is like, oh, thank God they like it. We're done. We can move on. No, like they like it. It's especially when it's like, yeah, I like it, and their head's still nodding, and you're like,
you know, it's coming, but right. Yeah, you know it. I know it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Your work has paid off because of your hard work and your due diligence. You have garnered not one, not two, not 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but 9 Emmy Award nominations. I mean, awards. But then nominations, we're talking about what, 15?
Yeah, there's been quite a bit. I've been really fortunate, and it's been really cool. And I would have never have guessed this in a million years either. You know, I would have loved that Grammy, Stan. Believe me, I would have mic dropped that thing right on the stage. You know, my mom next to me, my wife, my whoever it was. But no, yeah, I've been really fortunate to be a part of a lot of really great teams, and you know, I've always had a camaraderie with a lot of my colleagues, whatever, I guess, company I stepped into, and that's very important to me. You know, I want to make sure, not that I'm well liked, it's just I want to make sure that, you know, even if you're new and you step into the team, I like to take you under the wing and say, hey, you know what, it's cool, man. It's here. Here's how this is. Let me show you how that is, you know, and kind of, you know, make you feel comfortable. And I try to do that with as many people as I can, and be relatable. You know, if I haven't spoken to someone, I try to find that relatability in some manner to you know, find that tick. Hey, what's making you tick? Well, then that's your strength, and let's try to pull that more out of you. You know, like I'm such an outspoken person, and my wife is very, very conservative. So, you know, she's the complete opposite of what I am. So it's like, there's things that I'm doing, and she's like, what are you doing? But I'm like, it's just what I do, you know. Right. So I had to tone a lot of that down, especially being a dad. But yeah, you know, it's been a wild and crazy, cool, fun career thus far. My next 20 years, though, however, you know, I want to try to. I really want to be challenged in another space possibly, and see where I could take my expertise and find, you know, another space to be successful in. You know, I want those sign-on bonuses. I want those stock options. You know what I mean? I got to take care of it. I got 2 little girls. I got a wedding to pay for, another wedding to pay for, man. So I'm still lucky I got the rest of my hair that's left here. So.
Right.
Well, they're not teenagers yet. There's still time.
Yeah, take your time, but I feel you though.
But take us back to the very first win. Because it's like,
Okay.
did you grow up watching the Emmys? Like, I didn't even know, to be honest with you, like, I didn't even know that was, like, I knew Emmys as far as actors and everything. But when I remember when you received it, and I was like, what? I didn't know he was an actor. You know what I mean? So take us back to the very first one.
Yeah, I mean, man, it was just such a, again, it was something that I couldn't even imagine. I didn't even know that it was even possible for me to get that when I even got into television. It was just, I thought that, Hollywood stars got that and that was it. And then when I got that first one, it was just kind of like, a real proud accomplishment. And then it just, they kept, it kept me, not motivating me to knowing that, hey, that's a motivational factor and me receiving some recognition, not that per se, but it was just me more really kind of wanting to outdo myself, like, okay, well, what can I do next to make it better or make myself a better artist, or et cetera, and then that hard work and that focus brought another one, and then it went down this road to a Pro Max award, or then it went, even musically, even though I didn't get the Grammy, but we had one of those nominations from a friend of a friend who got us on a bill of how that happened. But got a Frontman award, so that was cool. We toured and we did a lot of stuff on the music side of it too. So I feel like a lot of people were misunderstood, where they thought that I was getting that from, like I said, from being an actor or my accolades from being on the music side, but it was really just from my career in broadcast television, to where I haven't was able to make that leap to the music side yet. So I was still trying to support myself with my actual job. And then, so, but again, it's just, it was something that was, I know I went off on a tangent there, but it was just something that was just really cool. And I was like shocked and surprised that this is something that could really, move me forward, career wise too. So.
And it's awesome. And for those of you that are joining us, thank you so much. I mean, Brian, you have worked on, Fox Sports, ESPN, FIFA World Cup, the NFL Super Bowl, Major League Baseball. And so for those that are creatives that are listening and are watching, so for all of us who are sports fans, when you are watching your game, right, and you're seeing the side by side of two opposing, teammates or whatever, a lot of the graphics that people are seeing, where they're standing like this, or boxers.
Right. Yep.
This is done by a graphics team. This is done by, this is art direction. This is creative. This is a creative that's actually producing. And
these are jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay money.
They pay pretty well too. So.
And they pay pretty well. And you could get a Grammy. And so we're going to be showing, some clips and some images so that people can see.
Grammy or Emmy?
Emmy.
You meant Emmy.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
Emmy.
It's all right.
I'm putting it into the universe for
you. But the Grammy's coming for you.
You could get a Grammy too, I guess, if you do a musical track for something.
Let me tell you, I was going to say that this was something I was going to mention. Hey, there might be some EGOT aspirations there for you, because look, Grammy, you do music, you're a music producer, right? You do the graphics. Who knows? Oscar, Tony, who knows? Anything is
Thank you. But I would love to be that one.
I'll put it in the universe for you. But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I only wanted to, I'm a young Italian. I'm an Italian kid from Waterbury, Connecticut originally. And the only thing I ever wanted growing up was a Ferrari. I'm not there yet. If I get there, hey, I get there. But that doesn't mean that Ferrari is the main the main goal. Right. But I feel I mean, the Grammy would have been like, holy cow, like it would have been, the music side of things has really brought me closer to a lot of my heroes. I got to meet a lot of my heroes. I'm a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, so I got to meet a lot of them several times. I have friends who were friends with them. It's just weird how I'm like one step away from them. You know, my initial initiation into the music side of things was I contacted a Red Hot Chili Peppers guitar player who was in the band before John Frusciante joined the band. I don't know if you know the whole backstory of the Chili Peppers. I'm not going to go into that. But and he got me in touch with Funkadelic, and I started working with the bass player for Funkadelic, and he was on my first couple of records because I couldn't find an awesome bass player who played that style of music that made me tick. And the reason why I started writing in the vein of funk rock was because I was getting tired of my favorite artists. I was getting tired of that lull between records. I was like, I gotta keep that. I want to have something, you know, that I can keep flowing with, and that kind of is what made me start, you know, the whole music thing. But it's really cool. Like my wife, when I turned 40 a few years ago.
What was that? What was that?
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think the connection broke up.
Yeah. Yep. She got me like this really cool thing, and people can call in and leave like this message, and one of them was from one of the guys from Funkadelic, and it's really cool because now I have this thing with him, and he was breaking my stones a little bit on there as well to call me an old man and all that stuff, so it was great. But and I like a good ribbon from guys that, you know, I'm a guy's guy, so I enjoy anytime somebody wants to, you know, bring that sarcasm. I'm coming back at you with it.
Right.
But no, I was really cool, really genuine. Those guys are great, and you know, we've all kept in touch, and like Facebook is crazy. Just, you know, how awesome it is to kind of see them. And they're on tour, you know, in Australia with the Peppers or with whomever, and you're sitting there like, damn, I'm watching a live stream right now from his phone. And you know, it's just crazy how you know, things just pan out. And you know, we made a lot of connections. A lot of our friends, you know, are in different spaces. Some of them are famous, some of them are millionaires, some of them are you know, hardworking people, and it's, you got to support one another. You got to make it true, you know. Like I said, follow the dream instead of the green, or I'm sorry, follow the green instead of the dream. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to actually transition into you know, your performing arts, because you you know, you really hone your craft. You of course attended Pratt Institute, which we know, but you also attended the Musicians Institute, where you studied music production. So it's not just something that you just woke up one day wanted to do. You really are a person that is a lifetime learner and a student of the craft. And so and rightfully so, because you've seen accolades from that as well. You've received a Grammy nomination, first round. It's still a nomination. You've performed in venues like his, you know, these are like the Viper Room, Roxy, Wixie A Go Go. I mean, how was that experience? You know, being an East Coast boy, right? An East Coast kid moving to LA. Like, how was that transition like?
You know, it took me like a good 2 years to really adapt to Los Angeles, and I wanted to go there my entire life, and I wanted to go there for college, and my mom and dad were like, nah, you know, that's coming home, you know, for Christmas and all that other stuff. But you know, I had two options really. I had Pratt and I had RISD in Rhode Island. And I was like, I don't want to go to Rhode Island.
Great options, though.
Right. Yeah, no. I was
them like those weren't amazing options, sir.
No. I was thankful, but you know, but for my SATs in high school, man, I'm drawing on them. I'm like, you know, you get an 800 for writing your name, and that's pretty much what I got, because I was like, I'm going to art school. What the hell do I care?
I feel you, believe me.
But no, I chose New York over that. But you know, and I'm just not a New Yorker anymore. You know, I love visiting. I'm more of my speed is more the West Coast. But it took me a while to adapt and to kind of, I remember I used to come home from my Christmas breaks, from being back from, come home to LA, but being back from Connecticut, visiting my family. And some of my bosses would be like, hey, you need to tone it down a little bit. I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? You know, because it's just, you get back in that rhythm, and then you're like, oh, I got to get back in that rhythm again, you know. But no, it did take me a while. But I got to say, you know, bringing our East Coast mentality, out to the West Coast, it in our work ethic, well, at least, you know, how we were trained on the East Coast to do it, which is really strange to say unless you've kind of lived there.
Yeah.
You get more, because those guys that are sleeping and those guys that are chilling and those guys that are beach walking and doing all the other stuff, you're still working. You're still trying to find your way to get, you know, whatever. And, you know, I had a lot of guys that hang on to my coattails, and I had to cut them off. I had a couple of versions of the band that you know, I needed to hire and fire and keep moving along with, you know, and thankfully I did, because that evolved into something even more beautiful and I guess genuine and better, you know, made me better, made me want to be a better singer, you know, made me want to be better for the band that was supporting me. And, you know, and then we performed everywhere, you know, at every, you know, like you said, the Whiskey. Oh my God, that place was probably like so much fun. We played there so many times. My favorite was the Viper Room, just because it was more intimate.
Right.
And you could really hone in the crowds there. I did a really cool, we did a cool tour in 2009, and we hit Zona, Arizona. We did Nevada, the Hard Rock Hotel there. All around the East Coast. We did Ohio. And when I brought it back home to Connecticut, it was like 2,500 people, man. We packed this place, and it was awesome. And that was probably one of my most memorable shows. I had a lot of huge shows in the Midwest, quite a bit of people too. But it's funny because a lot of the music that I created, a lot of it in Japan, really had a huge following overseas. And you know, and again, you know, it's hard to get over there, or you have 4 different situations. You got mine, and then the 3 other people in the band with me, and one can't leave, or another one can't afford it, or another one is on house arrest, or whatever it is. Yeah,
right.
But yeah, no, it took a while to adjust, and but I really love Los Angeles. I love how diverse it is, and a lot of the real Angelinos, like the ones born and raised there, are the really cool people. You know, you get your shallow types, you got your plastic surgery types, and they're all interesting in their own sort. I know, you know, don't judge a book by its cover ever, you know.
Right.
I know that East Coast, West Coast thing, it's there is that difference, you know, but it just kind of, it made me be a better artist too, meaning like, you know, the diversity that I've found out, you know, on the New York side and on the LA side is kind of really like almost put me in the middle to kind of understand, like, okay, don't be too hard, don't be too soft, just kind of be. And it took me a while to really find my voice and find who I was in Los Angeles too, you know. So it was like New York. I feel like when I was there, I was a young kid, 18 to 21, right? And I always felt like I had to be harder than I was, you know, because it was a hard time when we were there at the time. And I used to, you know, have a goatee at the time that wasn't gray, and but I would use it to my advantage. I don't know if you can still see a little bit, but I would use it to my advantage because if I looked more Puerto Rican to make myself, you know, a little more, or I had to bulk up a little more at the time. But it was just those times, you know. So, but yeah, you know, I get it, and I just try to be in the middle, you know.
Yeah. I feel like the East Coast, I think it's like it's more densely populated, right? So it feels like there like it's more competition. Folks typically are a little more aggressive than folks on the West Coast. And so like, yeah, I feel you, man. Like, you know, I took I think the last West Coast tour that I did, I took the family with me. And so they got the experience like what it's like touring out West and just being out there in general. And yeah, man, I definitely feel you on how like it feels like at this point in time in my life when I'm out there, like that feels more my speed than what it's like being out here. And yeah, definitely.
And they support.
Yes, they
West Coast support.
West Coast, yeah. It's I mean, definitely it's a lot of love out here on the East as well, but they're I feel like when I'm out there and when we've toured, like the fans are different. Like there's great fans all over the world, but there's something about the West Coast of the US and stuff touring out there. You know, the support that we've seen and stuff, and the numbers, man, like when people come out, has been amazing over the years. But yeah, man, I feel you though.
I'm not, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rachelle.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to, I'm true to where I came from, so like, I'm not pro either, I mean, I'm maybe biased as far as like what I prefer. And these are just my experiences. But like what I've experienced was like, going to LA, it was almost as, I should have got famous and then went to LA and then everybody would have been a part of that, whereas maybe on the East Coast, it would have been more of like, I want to support you all the way up, be with you a part of that journey. That's just not how Los Angeles worked, but for what I wanted to get into as far as entertainment, as far as bands and music, that was West Coast side, that I had to go because a lot of my friends that were here, they didn't want to do rock bands. They wanted to do more of the cover style. They didn't want to be more of the original. They didn't want to stay together, and there was a huge rap scene here, a huge hip hop scene at the time, which I love. I love all that stuff,
Right.
And I mean, I'm a big, I love LL Cool J, and I love the Wu, and a lot of those you could maybe influenced me in my rapping style sometimes, along with a lot of the rock bands that I grew up with, but just how LL heard something. I met him one time. This is a funny story, but I knew his stylist, and at the time they were doing these Yahoo sets. This was back in maybe like 2008 or 10, and my wife and I, we went to it was like just a small studio space that he did a performance at, and I got to meet him afterwards. And they say don't meet your heroes, but like they never met LL Cool J. Like he was just awesome, man. But he gave my wife a rose during Hey Lover, and as I went to go meet him, what's that? Well, that was kind of what I was getting to.
Right.
So I have a song called The One that it was originally started, and it was inspired by Mama Said Knock You Out. And I told him that, and we were having this conversation. But as soon as I meet him, he comes out of his trailer and he makes a beeline to me, and he's like, "What's up, B?" And he gives me a hug and stuff, and it was weird, man. It's just so surreal. I shouldn't say weird. It's just like, whoa, my it's one of my idols,
He said my name.
Right. And he turns to me, he says hi to my wife, and he's like, "Man, you going and messed up." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You let your girl take a rose from me?" I was like, "Oh, this is how we're starting the conversation." I couldn't believe it, man. I had no words to come back. I was smiling.
Because Stan already knows.
I already know. Look, if I see him reach for a rose and then look like he fixing his mouth to lick his lips, I'm probably gonna tackle him, or snatch his life and run away. But like, yeah, it's not safe for anybody. You know what I mean?
My wife's Latina too, so she grew up on all that, and so we have a lot. I understand completely. Like, and this was when LL was jacked up. So like, here's 150-pound me. I'm like, man, I can't take this guy. And what am I gonna do? But no, it's what's so crazy about Los Angeles too is you're put into these crazy situations. I remember going to the gym one time. I couldn't get in because Britney Spears was there doing some promotion. I'm like, man, she's messing up my routine. After a while, that kind of, it just kind of gets annoying, But then I have friends of mine. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I have friends of mine who worked on the Super Bowl, and I'm a big Niners fan. And then, Michael Crabtree gave me the gloves that have the SF on them. And he was and the producer, he just did that out of, hey, my buddy's a Niners fan. He's wishing you guys luck. He's like, here, man, give these to him. And, just cool stuff like that, man. And it just keeps knowing that those guys at that level are that humble and that cool. It always kept me in that perspective too. Like, no matter how many accolades I achieve, I like to have that humbleness.
Yeah. But
I know
you
we're
know,
all over the place. So.
it's also having the connections has also worked in your favor. I mean, you've had the opportunity to work with some big names, like you mentioned, Parliament. You've worked with Jim Wirt,
Yep.
critically acclaimed producer who's worked with No Doubt. Like, you have people. You know people.
He taught me a lot. I mean, if it wasn't for that experience, I don't think I would have been a music producer, and then went down that road. It's crazy how you find these, and that's just pure luck. In all honesty, I have a lead and I'll follow up on that lead, or I'll be a little more persistent than the norm. Not too persistent, to where, I'm too eager for my own good, which I am at times.
Right.
But that persistence, it pays off. If you want something, like let's say you want to get into Amazon, you want to work there, well then you hound the guy to get into Amazon. Find a guy, find another way, find a different way. If he's not stopping you, find you know what I mean? You got to find that way in.
Yeah.
And you don't want to hear, hey, I don't think Amazon's going to say to you, hey, you're a little too aggressive. What? Like, that means I really want to work for your company. You know what I mean? How about that? So, yeah, I guess that's just how I've always kind of led.
Yeah.
What would you say were some of the key things to, like, your advancement, right? Like whether it was the relationships that you develop, like combination of other things, things that you've done over the years to help develop your craft. Like, what do you feel like were some of the key things that really helped you along?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm, not being afraid to fail, I've said before, but I don't ever focus on the risk. I always focus on the reward. So every time I'm doing something, or like, even moving across the country, it was just kind of like, I want to move, I just want to do it. Like sometimes I just want to do something and I just do it and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes you just got to say what the F and just make it and utilize every ounce of your being to make it work, but I mean, it does have to do with people, and what positions I was in at that time and who saw something in me to help me or to push me. And I do that a lot with a lot of my younger peers who are in the industry, or someone who reminds me of myself at that time. I'm like, hey, that reminds me of myself. I think, he deserves, this little break here. Let me try to help him out. Or, hey, follow up on this lead. This might help you. But I hope that answers your question, Stan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I think you've worked with not only your own band, but you've clearly have worked with other indie bands who are just starting out. And one of the things that you have said is that you strive to give indie bands a voice by producing their records and giving them that major label feel, that major label sound. And so
without the major label price tag.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us a little bit more about that whole process and working with a lot of these artists, and where do you find them? Well, where can I find
you? I mean, I've been using Twitter for I listen to music daily, number one. And in being creative, I always have these on, and I have to have some type of music with me to inspire me to create my artwork on the computer daily. Right. So I'll come across something, or something will come across me on Spotify, and I'm like, damn, who's this? Oh man, I want to contact them. I want to work with those people. I had a band that I gave a good shot to. They're from Italy, and they were along the vein of what I really focused on. And these guys, it's been since 2013 where I got them their opportunity, and they're like on the verge of something. It's just, I just don't know what or when it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. But for me, being an indie artist, even though I had major label interests and things like that, being an indie artist, I was coming to realize, like, hey man, this person doing my record, he didn't go to school for this, and he's making, all this money from me. How do I learn how to do something like that to save myself money as an indie artist? Or, hey, you know what? Instead of spending multiple thousands and thousands and thousands on records, I could do them for minimal of the cost to give the indie band a voice. Because a lot of these guys, they have really good songs and really good music, and they just need to get it up to par to where it's not a demo anymore. It's an actual, fully produced song. And a lot of these labels that started going under and things like that, they really just wanted to kind of have that presented to them and say, hey, you know what, we can give you the smack on the ass, run you through the machine, and you'll be on your way. And that's, you really do. And Stan, this, you get one shot at that first impression with music. It's not like the visual arts side of it. You get that one shot. If there's something somebody doesn't like, or whatever it is, they're not going to listen to it. There's not. You're going to get that 30 seconds. And a lot of the people making the decisions are not creative. So unless you provide them with something that's a polished, fully produced option for them to listen to, they're just not, it's hard for them to visualize or hard for them to hear, even visually when I'm doing things for my stakeholders or upper management and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, if you just let me run with this, I'll have something to you. And, 9 times out of 10, they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. Give me some stuff you want me to implement in there, and then I'll make it happen. And you still have that, because the people usually at the top don't have that creative vision. So I'm the one providing it to them, saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think of this? Now you can add your brainstorming power to it, because now they have the visual representation. So it's kind of the same with the music. It's like now you have.
There you
phone
call. Yeah.
Did I lose you? Do you still see
me?
No, we're here. We're here.
Okay. I can't see you. That's all.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've been, for the past few years, I've been doing a lot where I've been helping out a lot of these indie artists who I think are like worthy, and they're like almost there, and like I could hear what they're trying to do, and if I know that if I just touch it, it's gonna turn into and really flourish into what they're really trying to make it be. And right now I'm working with a person in the UK, an artist, and he's having me do a single, and a lot of the layering that he did in the music, it's gotten so muddy where I'm like, this has to come out, or this needs to come out in this particular part,
right?
Or this needs to get ducked under, and I get what he's trying to do, but I had a minimal, like take more of a minimalistic take to it, and then compose it that way. When I'm composing it along the lines of like a triangle, where it's like you're starting off small and then you climax and big, right? So it's just it's the process that I use for my creative side of it and my art direction side of it and the creative direction side of it is the same process I kind of do musically. And I'm also an artist, so like I'm also understanding where they're coming from, and it's not my way, it's the highway kind of thing either. It's just let me make this suggestion to you. It's your record ultimately, but let me make this suggestion to you, and you guys go collectively and decide. But here's what I would do with this, Right. So I've been really trying to give these guys a voice, and a lot of the rock music stuff is dying out, and that's a lot of stuff I really love.
Right.
And I hope that stuff comes back. I mean, the 90s, just in general, music all around gave us some really inspiring, iconic, flavorful stuff that's going to last for ages.
Right.
And I feel like that it's really missing that, there's some artists that have peeked through and have really, honed it in over the years. But I just feel like, there's it's just, my opinion that I wish they'd bring a lot of that stuff back.
Yeah. And I think it's just, now, I mean, you don't hear it so much on the radio now. If you really want to, you have to dig. It's like, you have to go online. You have to, now with this year with COVID, and venues are now slowly opening up. I think you're going to see a resurgence because people are now starving for that. Speaking of which, so 2020, as we all know. All right. So how have you been affected personally, both as a visual artist, with your art direction, with your clients that you've been working with in sports in particular, as well as a performing artist and producer? How has COVID? How has the pandemic affected you?
I've been very fortunate, luckily. If baseball didn't play, I might have been not as lucky. But I've been very fortunate, and I'm very thankful for that. I have a really great team that I work with, and it's a really great place to work. But the production side of things, as far as like musically, that obviously took a backseat because a lot of people were hurting. But then it also brought out a lot of like more freelance opportunities where a lot of my friends were surging during this, and businesses that you wouldn't even think of. They're like, hey, I need branding and I don't have any of that. All right, man. Well, come on, I'll help you out. And it's whatever avenue I was taking at that point to make a little extra. I would take it. But I gotta say, just from a personal standpoint, it really put a lot of things in perspective as far as like what's really important in my life moving forward, and what my life for my family is moving forward. Just how I'm so, I guess this is a dad thing, but when my first daughter was born, I was commuting a lot, and I didn't get to see a lot of things that I missed out on, and I feel like that connection between me and her, you as well. So you understand.
Yep.
I've been so thankful to be home for my second daughter, because I'm seeing all that stuff. I'm seeing her little leaps and bounds and stuff that we have a different bond than me and my oldest daughter had because of that. So it's like that's something where, I really put a lot into perspective, where it's like, I'm trying not to sweat the small stuff and all that other stuff. And yeah, there's stress with a lot that's going on, and I try to manage it the best I can. This is all hair dyed, by the way, just so you know. But but yeah, man, I just really started thinking more like priority wise, like what's the next, what do I want the next 20 years, on that, how do I want to frame that moving forward, but yeah, it's been a really crazy ride. Like I haven't, I have one shot. I wanted to get a shot. My wife doesn't want to get one. So like we're on that plane. But my mom, she's a 2-time cancer survivor now. She just she was just fully cured of it all back in February. So like we haven't had a party for her or anything. I wasn't able to give her a hug, nothing. So she was just here for my daughter's birthday over the last weekend, and I finally got to hug her because she's vaccinated and I got mine, and she just wept, man. And it was like it's just crazy, like all the stuff that's been going on, and you're in your nutshell, because we've been really conservative. We haven't really been going and doing much, and we're learning more and more about everything that's been happening, and we're venturing out a little more now. But it's just, we kind of just isolated ourselves because we wanted to be safe and keep our family safe and our kids safe. And I have a multicultural family, so we didn't know how it was going to affect different people at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you guys? Were you guys?
Well, I mean, the same, pretty much the same. We don't mind being homebodies, so it didn't affect us.
Okay.
Like, I mean, we love to go out, but I mean, the fact that we actually enjoy each other's company
that helped.
That helps.
Right.
But yeah, Stan is fully vaccinated. He got his shot. I just got mine Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so my arm is no longer sore. I get the next one in a couple weeks.
Right.
But yeah, same like us, same like you guys, just trying to stay cautious and aware. Us venturing out to the grocery store is like a big deal.
Yeah, same here.
Whole production, but
Right.
our littlest one, she's 3, and our oldest one is 12, and so it's a routine. It's like, all right, you got your wallet, keys, phone, mask.
Yep.
So
yeah, but we've managed to pivot really well, like all things considered. I feel like I was just talking to a friend / client the other day, where I basically was saying to them, it's almost as though we predicted that something was coming, because we were doing these presentations, just talking to people constantly about the importance of passive income, the importance of the fact that, there's going to be moments where you're not going to be able to be on the road, where you're not where you're going to want to have more time at home and still be as creative, but not miss certain key moments.
Yeah, for visual artists who don't have, merchandise that, you want to do prints. Some visual artists are against prints. Now everybody's like, hey, at least I'm selling something.
Right. And so
the digital art, man, that's what are the NFTs or right?
NFTs.
That stuff has been insane. Like I got friends who got a couple $1 million making that stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
NBA's doing some stuff with that. It's I mean, this whole thing's been like, wow, okay, everyone's been getting really creative on how to even just, to eat,
Struggle breeds creativity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It really does. It really does. Really does. If I didn't have it in me, I don't think I would be a creative. Like you always have that melancholy side, or you always have that that well that you could go and tap into, and I guess only another artist could really understand that to a point where it's like it's just something that you go to and you bring life to whatever it is, right on the page, on in the studio, whatever it is. And sometimes non-creatives can't understand the fact, well, why would you do that, that way? It's not what you think it is. Like it wasn't meant to hurt or to it was just to create something beautiful at that moment,
Right. For sure.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Before we close out, I'm going to put you on the spot, right? So as being, multi-talented, as a visual artist and as a performing artist, if you had to choose just one, what would it be?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, the performance aspect of it is probably I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something where it's just I don't even know how to describe that. I mean, Stan, I know
Right.
I don't know. I don't even. How would you even communicate that to me without me actually knowing it? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nothing that the interaction, that exchange like between the audience and all of that, like, that's a high that like, can't really be like replaced or duplicated. You know what I mean? Like how we create or what other ways we find to kind of do what we do. That's a very different experience than anything else,
It really is. And it's like a utopia, man, in a way. That's like the best way I could put it for me, and it's such a natural high, and you're in that, you're connecting with someone, you do it visually, but you don't have a face behind that visual, representation that you're putting out. Whereas it's actually you making that connection with that person. And like, I remember being in the Viper room one time and I was singing, we were doing a performance, and I remember seeing this couple in the crowd, and just the power that I had over them, not in a megalomaniac type of way. It was just that, like, holy shit, like I didn't know I was that, powerful in that moment to really draw them in. And it was just like, I think it's funny because that happened, maybe 10 years ago. And I still remember that moment. I could still see that person's face. I didn't even know that person. And it's just that connection that it was made. It was just, I mean, there's nothing like it. There really is nothing like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think it's the connection, right? It's exactly what you guys said. It's the connection. It's like when you're drawing, when you're creating, it's pretty much just personal, right? It's just you and the paper, you and the keyboard. Whereas this music, it's physical. It's literally this exchange, that's happening. And
there's a piece of you left on that stage, right? Like,
definitely.
I remember doing my first gig in London with the homie CL from Q&5. And the moment I came off that stage and the show was done and all of that, man, I called, I don't like, I didn't have a cell phone I could call at that time to call her to tell her everything, because this was a really long time ago. But the moment I found my phone card, got on like
phone card.
Yeah, phone. I had a phone card. It was a pay phone.
I know what year that was.
This is a minute ago. Right. And so like, man, I went out front. I found a payphone out front of the club in London and literally called her the moment that show ended, because I was like, that might have been the best show of my life, you know, at that particular moment. And just like, you know, there's moments where you make music where you kind of feel that way. But like the difference is you make the song and you are really proud. But because no one has heard it yet, you don't really know if
what's
that
the response. Right.
And so when the live show is kind of like confirmation. You know what I mean? It's confirmation.
It's funny you say that, because we had a show that we were building up. It was probably one of my early shows in LA, but it was at the Whiskey, and I remember we had it taped, and not taped. It was on. I sound really old saying that. It was digitally.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
It's good. Hey, listen.
It was digitally recorded somehow.
Right.
And and I remember when you could see the moment on my face where I was like, they actually responded well to this, because I was so nervous that I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
I remember that moment being on stage, and I remember seeing the footage of me being on stage, and I was like, holy cow, man, like that. It was that moment that just clicked, and I was like, that was it. Like I left blood, sweat, and tears on that. If I didn't sweat that night, then I didn't give a good performance. You know what I mean? Right. And I was always mad about it. So every night I go and I would make sure that I was sweating, because that means I'm working. You know, and that was really but I know what you're talking about. Those pivotal moments, those little trivial moments, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's something you're never gonna forget.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, thank you so much, man. Like, it's great to see you in general.
Same.
But
I know we keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Absolutely. But yeah, you know, hopefully when all's said and done and the world opens back up, I'm sure one of us will be traveling somewhere at some point in time. So hopefully we get to link up sooner than later.
Oh, that'd be great, man. It's long overdue. And if you guys ever need anything, please don't ever hesitate. I'm here always.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Likewise.
And for you guys that are watching, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Artistry.
And those of you who are listening.
And those of you that are listening as well. Please be sure to like and subscribe. We have so much more ahead for you all. Again, Brian, thank you so much, man. This was a reunion. This was a reunion.
It definitely was a reunion.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But again, thanks everyone for watching. And you guys hang around for our little outro music and all that good stuff. And Brian, we will chat with you shortly after. All right.
Okay.
All
right.
Y'all enjoy. Peace.
Good. Be well.
All right. Thanks for listening to Artistry, where art meets industry. This podcast has been brought to you by Substantial Art and Music. For more information, please visit www.subartmusic.com. You can also follow us on social media at subartmusic. We'll see you soon. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.